Yeah, my name's Andres Gonzalez. A lot of people call me Andy. I'm a co-founder of the Holistic Life Foundation. It's a nonprofit organization. Started like 10 or 11 years ago, and we focus on serving underserved, underprivileged communities with yoga and mindfulness techniques and practices. Well, I've probably been meditating now for 11 years, every day, and just passing that technique on to other people. For me, it changed my life. Going inward. When you go inward, you get that peace and that sense of just oneness, and then coming out into the world and seeing the chaos when you're not meditating. You know what I mean? You're inner, and then you come to the outer, and it's like whoa. And for me, that was it was kind of like a smack in the face. Like I wish that everyone else is feeling what I'm feeling, because I'm feeling love and I'm happy and smiling all the time. But then when I come out of my meditation, I walk in my neighborhood and everyone's just miserable. You can just sense and feel the suffering. So I think just my personal practice and meditating and passing it on to other people. I mean, I can see kids who were in the 5th grade and now are 20-some years old, and they'll come to me and say, I mean, you changed my life. I would be a drug dealer right now if it wasn't for you. You know what I mean? And just that internal process of knowing who your real self is. I think for me that altered my life, and it made me do the work that I'm doing now, and hopefully as I pass on those techniques and practices to other kids, that they can have that same feeling of, yeah, if I know who I am, and we're all one type stuff. Actually, I don't know, I guess it's a combination of things. My 2 business partners that I founded the organization with, we met in college and partied a lot. Our party group kind of turned into, like a book reading group, and we just read about a lot of stuff, philosophies and histories and religions, and you get to the point in your life where you're trying to figure out, why am I here? What's the point of living? What's the, why are we here just as humans and stuff? And I started just, searching them things, and combine that with I like comic books and superheroes, you know what I mean? So as we started studying the techniques and everything, it was like, wow, some exercises will make me do this. And it's like the really extreme benefits that initially got me into kind of, because I thought that stuff was cool, you know what I mean? And now it's to the point where I think that as I started practicing more and getting the real sensations out of it, and what the real benefits were, that I wasn't shooting for being able to levitate or being able to read people's minds and move things, like telepathically or whatever, you know what I mean? It was just, hey, this is awesome, and it was just, I think just the questioning of myself and wondering who I really was, and that's what really started getting me to delve deeper into my practice. Well, I meditate every day in the morning, also yoga, so I do my actual physical hatha in the mornings. And then all day, that's all we do. For our company, we go out throughout the city and we teach people. Sometimes we don't like to say we teach, we like to say we remind people, because everyone already knows, so I'm not really telling them anything they don't know. I mean, it's inside them, it just needs to kind of be like, the dust needs to be wiped off so they can really see who they really are. So a day for me, for example, would be wake up, do a meditation, do my asanas, go to either a drug rehab class or a mental health facility or a homeless shelter or elderly home. I teach them. Then afternoon comes, we go to elementary school, after school program with 50 kids, pre-K to 5th grade. Then we'll afterwards go out again to do more of those classes with adults or seniors or anyone. So basically now it just is my life, like all day long, that's all I do. And even when I'm just walking around my neighborhood and go for a jog or something like that, people still question me. Hey, will meditating get me to stop smoking cigarettes, or, you know what I mean, or this and that, or asking me what's the first steps of meditation, or, so it's just constantly, I think I'm always now, it's like my practice is all day long. We always try to say to people, this mindfulness and this yoga stuff, it's not something you do, it's something you are. It's a part of your life all the time. So, I mean, I'm just contemplatively practicing all day long. Yeah, we teach yoga. Yeah, we do a lot of the asanas, a lot of pranayama, breath work, and sometimes we kind of, with us, I mean, our classes are very different. You know, we kind of like to show people that there's more to yoga than just the bending and stretching. You know what I mean? A new phrase I term for it is that kind of like that Hollywood hatha, that, you know, everyone just wants to look fit and strong, and they're, you know, manipulating their bodies like contortionists almost, you know what I mean? And that's not really what the point of the yoga, you know, the physical part is to get your body ready so you can mentally be ready to meditate, so you can be conscious of yourself and oneness and unity everywhere. But everyone just goes there like, hey, I did yoga today. I'm like, you didn't, you were doing some aerobics. You weren't really doing yoga, you know what I mean? But yeah, we focus on the breath work is huge for us. That's one thing we teach at the beginning of all classes, how to breathe, which seems silly because everyone looks at us like, I know how to breathe. And I'm like, I don't know if you really know how to breathe. So we do a lot of breath work, and then just describe all the different types of yoga to introduce them that it's more than just the bending and stretching. It's more than just the breath work. It's more than the meditation. You know, you open a door for somebody. That's karma yoga. You know what I mean? Bhakti yoga, one of the strongest forms of yoga that there is just loving everything. Just love. You know, looking at you guys, seeing you guys. I look at you all again. I see myself, my real self. It's inside of you as well. We're all one. You know, studying is yoga. Just reading up is a form of yoga. Talking about yoga, it's a harikatha. It's yoga. You know what I mean? There's hundreds of different types of yoga, and it's so funny. People always ask me, what time of yoga do you teach? And I'm like, how does that work? I said, yoga means union. Yoga means bringing everything together, but you want me to divide it up into pieces and say, this is this part of your, you know, and I always say, that doesn't make sense to us. So my teacher always taught us the full gambit of everything, to practice all of it. It's kundalinis, kriyas, raja, everything. Incorporate that into this oneness. That's why we call ourselves the Holistic Life Foundation, because it's all of them together. And then when I go to an audience, then I can read them and be like, all right, I'm gonna do this with you this time, and we'll do this time. You know, you can't teach elderly people the same thing you teach kindergartners. You know what I mean? The elderly can't do the physical exercise, but the kindergartners, you want them to physically burn all that energy off. You know what I mean? So I would say most of our work is based on the yoga and the meditation concept, and mindfulness is you know, in that realm, because mindfulness and meditation to me are very similar. I think it's starting to with my family. You know, initially, you know, it's been 10 years now. When we first started getting started, it was like, what are you doing with your life? You know what I mean? I had a master's degree, I had a great education, and they're like, when are you gonna get a real job? You know, are you gonna do? I'm like, I'm doing something. You know, I work every day. You know, and people are like, you're so lazy. You don't have a 9 to 5. I'm like, man, I work 24 hours a day. You know, all day long, I'm ripping and running and doing this stuff. And it's not till recently that they've been catching on, because they're starting to see the accolades, us on the news, or us in the newspaper, us on magazines. They're like, wow, you're really doing it. And then they're starting to, you know, they've always said I was the happiest kid in the family. You know, and my teacher calls me Ananda. He gave me a name Ananda because he says that I'm bliss. He says he's never met anyone that's always happy and always smiling. He's like, I don't know what it is with you, but you're always happy. And I'm like, yeah, you know, why not? And I think my family has always known that and seen that, and now they're like, maybe this yoga and meditation stuff that he's doing has something to do with it. So, for example, my father is a staunch Republican guy, military man. This is not his stuff at all, you know, and he left when I was a little kid, but just recently he came back, and it was at a family thing, and he's asking me about meditation. He's like, you know, I'm trying to do some meditation. And I'm like, are you for real? And he's like, yeah, I'm really getting into this, you know what I mean? I'm like, no way. So I think they're finally starting to come around to it and starting to ask me more questions, because I think the curiosity's starting to come to them, where they're like, Andy's got something going on there. He's very happy. Maybe we should, you know, delve into it. So I think it's starting to spread. My friends, it's not getting there just quite yet. You know what I mean? They're still like, Andy's just a hippie. He just, you know what I mean? They're always labeling me with that. But I try, you know, I try to say, hey guys, why don't you ever ask me? You know what I mean? I probably had like 2 or 3 friends that have been like, can you come teach a class to me and my wife? You know what I mean? So they're coming around to it, but handful of people in over 10 years, so it's still not really spreading out there as much as I'd like in terms of family and friend circles. You know, no, not really. I mean, we in all the mindfulness. I would guess the mindfulness community, we're pretty integrated. You know, a lot of the big people, Linda Lantieri, John Kabat-Zinn, Tim Ryan, all those guys are people that we're affiliated with, and we try to work with, and to team up with, and to keep trying to get all these practices and techniques out to. But I mean, we're just us, the Holistic Life Foundation. We have our group. Our group's growing, so there was just the 3 of us, and now the kids we started with that were in the 5th grade are now 20-some years old, and they're all training. So our little army of I don't know, mindful zombies are going around biting people and trying to spread it a little, you know what I mean? But, you know, again, I would just say I'm affiliated with everything. I'm a big, we're all one type thing. So I say, if anything, I'm affiliated with us, with oneness and the planet and stuff like that. No particular group. Oh, for sure. I mean, we did a talk with some of the students 2 days ago and then yesterday. But the first talk, you know, one of the questions was like, any questions? And one of the students was like, how can we get this every day? And I'm like, just do it. You all got to do it. I mean, this is a big campus. Find a room, talk to the people, let you come there, and just start doing meditation. Because they were like, how could you spread it? And another kid said something like, yeah, my friend did it at a college, and he started a yoga class. And, you know, after a while, it started with a few of him and his homies, and now it's, you know, over 100 people every day coming to that class. And I mean, you can see the students here at this conference, and you can see that it's intriguing to them and they're interested in it. So I think it'd be extremely beneficial. I mean, one of the reasons I started doing this is because I graduated from college and I didn't know anything about myself, you know what I mean? I was supposed to get all this higher education, and it wasn't until after I graduated that I started studying and learning all these techniques. And I was like, how did no one teach me any of this? And if someone would have taught me when I was younger, you know, that's why we're teaching the kids now. I tell people I would be Superman right now. You know, I would literally be in, you know, I'm pretty Superman-y right now. I consider myself, but I would be like, wow, you know. So I think at the time in your lives when you're in college, and that's when you're really questioning yourself and you start really asking those questions. That's what happened to me, 19, 20, 21, where I'm like, what is my purpose? What am I doing here? And that's when I started stressing out. There's times where I'll be in college just depressed, you know, like, this is miserable. I don't want to do this. I don't want to take a test. I hate taking tests. And what am I doing here? And all, you know what I mean? And if I had the means to just sit and meditate and knew how to do that, I think it would have relieved so much for me and made the process so much easier. I would have been able to focus and concentrate on what I really wanted to do. I probably would have then known what I really wanted to do. I feel like in college, for some reason, I feel like the age is wrong. You know what I mean? Like, I think that once you graduate high school, you're still searching. And if you got to jump in right from high school into college, then you're like almost like, I didn't plan on going to college. My friend got me an application and I filled it out and I got accepted. And I was like, well, what are you going to major in? She was like, business. I was like, well, looks like I'm going to do business. By the time I'm 3 years deep in business school, I'm like, I just want to get out of here. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be a business major, you know, but I was trying to, you know, focus and keep telling myself, this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do. And it's like you get confused. I think if you could get this contemplative practice in you, start meditating, start doing that soul searching, knowing who you really are, I think it'll make your career path better, it'll make your education better, it'll make you study more. I mean, if you really like what you're doing, you'll study better on it. I hated what I was doing in school, you know what I mean? So I think it's, yeah, hands down, just extremely beneficial for the campus. Oh yeah, I mean, I think all over the world. I think we should start, you know, again in college campuses. I think that's a big starting point. You know, in the school systems, getting it to be common practice all the time. You know what I mean? We're trying to implement something in some elementary schools and high schools where the kids just come in and the beginning of the day they do 15 minutes of some mindfulness. They just sit quiet. At the end of the day, they do the same thing, just so it starts becoming a regular part of your life. You know what I mean? So that by the time you do get older, it's more and more. I mean, meditation is something you can just get the first go around. Like, I meditated today, I got it. I don't need to do it anymore. Like, I'm done with it. You know, I'm doing it for 10 years, and I read and study and do so much, and I still say I'm studying and learning every day, so much more. So I think that, yeah, that start, you know, start small, get it to it's like that zombie thing again. You ever play a video game where like the zombies start here and then you can start spreading. Well, that's how we want to do it. We want to do it with love and mindfulness, not eating people's faces. I mean, I just think that I would like to see just more community, more love and compassion around the world. I mean, I think that, you know, that it's lacking, it's missing. You know, that I think the reason when I was younger, you know, my family's from Puerto Rico, so when we would be in like one of the pueblos or something like that, if I walked and I did something wrong, threw a rock or something, the neighbor would say, "Hey, I know your mama. I know your mama. Tell your mama." And I'm like, "Oh, she knows my mama. You know, I messed up. I'm in trouble." You know what I mean? In my neighborhood now, my neighbor doesn't know me. We live in row homes, and my neighbor doesn't know who I am. I mean, I can walk out of my front door and go like this and knock on their front door, and no one talks to each other, you know what I mean? And that's why in cities they call them hoods now, you know what I mean? It's called the hood, you know, like, oh yeah, I'm from the hood. Well, the reason is because it used to be a neighborhood. but then they took away the neighbors, and that's why it's just a hood now. Because there's no more neighbors, you know what I mean? We're not cool. I can't go ask them for a cup of sugar. You know, hey, I'm making something. Can I get a cup of sugar? Like, for real, they'd be like, kiss my ass. Who are you? Like, I've been your neighbor for 10 years. What do you mean? You know what I mean? So I think that if we can just work on ourselves, it sounds selfish, but each of us could, you know, my vision would be all of us to go inward and to work and find out who we really are. And I think that it'll open everyone's eyes up to know that, hey, we are all one. And it's to love all the time, man. Love is the most powerful force in the universe, so. I think it's much more mainstream than it was. I don't think it's completely there, but I think it's getting there. I think we're on, like, you know, the waves coming, and we're about to get to the top and really start crashing over. 10 years ago, when I would teach a yoga class, even, you know, older people, I'd be like, oh, we're gonna do some yoga, and they'd be like, yogurt? Yoda? And I'd be like, are you serious? You don't know what yoga is? You know what I mean? Now, you know, I walk people all day, hey, I went to yoga class today. Yeah, I did this yoga. And, you know, 10 years ago, they're looking at me like, what are you doing? So I think it's getting there. I think the push is getting there. I think it's just that people are starting to realize more, you know, that, hey, there's something messed up here. And as they go inward, they're searching for more. And I think that that's the solution is. It's not out here, you know. People always want to buy something to make themselves happy or to do something to make themselves happy when it's all inside. And you go internal, and that's when your real happiness comes from. I always use an example of wealthy people. How many wealthy people that are crazy rich, these famous movie stars, they commit suicide? And, like, you know, and I tell them, you know what happens is they think that that's what they wanted, you know? They think that the fame and the money was gonna make them happy. And then now that they got it all and they're still miserable, they don't know what to do. You know, they're like, man, I thought this was gonna solve everything, and I got everything, and I'm on TV, I'm a superstar, I got girls, I got, you know, everything, and it's like, I'm still completely miserable. They don't know what to do themselves because they don't really know that it's inside is where it really matters. I don't know. I mean, I think it's kind of slow and steady, but I think it's, you know, I don't know the word for it, but it's like, you know, it's like increasing more and more and more and more and more. Yeah, exponentially. Thank you, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, so exponentially, it's getting there, you know, where it's a slow, but it's still building. And I think it's because, you know, it's like you know, if I tell one person and I tell this person and then they go out and start telling, so it's spreading. It's, you know, it's like the phone thing where it's like, hey, I tell you and you tell 3 people, and if you tell 3 people and those 3 people tell 3 people, so it's going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But I think it's still going to take a while because you have to do the practice yourself. Again, it's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that you're going to be like, oh, I meditated this week and now I'm a Zen master. You know what I mean? And I can do all this and I'm so peaceful, because there's still going to be so many external stimuli bombarding you all the time. You know what I mean? Even in my neighborhood, you know, there's me and my 2 buddies, but stepping out's still overwhelming. When I walk out and see a guy selling drugs right there, or someone getting stabbed, or someone getting arrested, you know what I mean? There's still so many people who are kind of in the darkness. That I think it's going to take a while to raise up everybody, but it's moving. I think it's definitely moving. I think it's going to stay popular. I mean, it's been going on for thousands of years, so it's a very long fad. It's more popular now a little, so it does have that kind of fad factor. But I think the base and the foundation of it, the people who are doing it are always going to do it. And I think that the more that people do it and the more they experience it, that it's going to keep growing. So I think that, you know, the Hollywood Hatha part, I think is still kind of fad, because people I think some people do think, oh, it's just cool for me to say I did yoga. I went to a yoga class, I'm cool, you know what I mean? But nah, that's not what the point of the yoga is, you know what I mean? So I think it could, you know, it has some of that feel to it, but I think that the foundation is so strong that this isn't going away. This is truth, you know what I mean? Truth is one, so. I think some of them, I think some are, you know what I mean? I think some just thinks it's cool, you know what I mean? It's cool to say, hey, I did yoga, you know what I mean? And again, I don't think they're doing the right form of yoga. They're doing the bending and the stretching, you know? And if they don't add the breath to it, it's not the same. If they're not using the principles, it's not the same of it, you know what I mean? A pose is meant for you to get into a pose so that you can focus more, you know? You stand in a certain position, whatever posture it is, and you're doing the breath work, and it's great. It has, you know, thousands of physical improvements it'll do. All your digestive system, all your systems, it's curing everything up. But it's made so that you can just be in a stilled position so that then your mind can work to be able to meditate, so you can clear your thoughts. It's not supposed to be, I think, what people are doing where they're just, it's like a workout to get a 6-pack. You know, that's not the point of yoga, to get, you know, to look good, you know, that's vanity. So I think that, yeah, I think that, I don't know, that it's gonna last. It's gonna be here a while. I think it's some people, but there are those people who are real, you know, they're doing this for the right cause. Oh yeah, I mean, I think there's tons of research and documentation of how it's been working. Again, it's 1,000 years old. People have been doing it for this long. I think if it didn't work, they would have been like, this is some bullshit. We're not doing this anymore. You know what I mean? So I think it definitely works. I mean, we did a study with Johns Hopkins and Penn State University with some of our kids in the inner city. And it got great results. They thought that we weren't going to get good results because first time study, it was kind of small. But it showed that the kids had less ruminating thoughts. They were able to concentrate. They were able to focus more. And we're doing another study now where I'm sure it's gonna be the same thing, but they're doing more physiological measures in terms of increasing your flexibility, your lung capacity, you know, just stress levels in general. They do those cotton swabs so they can show the chemical adjustment and all that type of stuff. A lady just in the circle I was in was telling me that they do this thing where they can read the chemicals in your body. They'll do a test, and then months later, after you've done meditations, they'll read your chemicals again, and your whole entire chemical makeup of your body is altered. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever seen the study of the guy with water. You seen that, where you send a mental image and the actual crystals in the water change? Have you ever seen that before? Oh, you gotta look it up on YouTube. It's so awesome. So it'll be just some water, and someone will meditate a word on the water, like love. And then when you look in the magnifying glass at the water, it'll crystallize into like flowers, and it looks so beautiful. So words like love or compassion, unity, and they'll form different shapes in the water. When you look at, if you say something like anger or hatred, the water looks like it's like globs and like just nastiness. You know what I mean? And the guy showed the research that just us thinking, our mental projection onto water, look what it does. And remember that people are made up of 2/3 water. So if I can manipulate a cup of water and change it so it crystallizes into these beautiful images by sending powerful, beautiful thoughts, just imagine what I can do individual by just sitting there, and you don't have to be here with me. I can just meditate and send love to people and imagine the impact that it's got to be having on them and the planet. Heck, the planet's 2/3 water. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think I mean, I'm part of a newsletter too. It's like a mindful thing, and it shows researchers all over the world. And every month I get 4 or 5 news things of people doing this and that and showing the benefits of how this is helping people and where it's going. So yeah, it's out there. It's about just finding it and, you know, studying and stuff. You got to check out the video of the water stuff. It's super cool. I mean, just get the word out there. I think just letting people know, you know, hey, do this. This is going on. And look, like you just asked the last question, you know, is there research? Showing me, look, this is going on, and look at the benefits. And people have been doing this for so long, and it's still going on, and look at what it can do to you. And then do it yourself, you know. I think the key is they have to experience it, you know, because whenever I do a class, people kind of think it's phony at first when we walk in. I'm in the city, you know, I go to a drug rehab class, and these people are all like, you know, either crackheads or on heroin. And I did a class a few weeks ago, and a lady, you know, she's doing her breath. You know, you can tell she's been a drug addict for a few years. And she comes out of it, and she like looks at me. And I'm like, yeah, you can get high without getting high, huh? And she's just like, wow, you know. And the next week when she came to the class, she said it was the first time that she spent her birthday sober in 7 years. You know what I mean? She said she's just doing the breath work. And it blows them away once they experience it. You know, most of the people, when I talk to them in these conferences, I say, you know, what got you into this? And it would be either that they were confused or searching, or they had a personal experience, that something happened in their life that made them realize that this is something, this internal stuff, it means a whole lot, you know what I mean? So just get the word out there, spread it, and then try to get them to experience, give them a taste of it. And I think that's the way we're gonna get this around the world. I mean, I think we should use the technology that we have nowadays. I mean, like the GPS for the Soul app, or, you know, the guys downstairs were talking about doing, one of the guys said that they had these like EEG things you can put in your head, and like you could play like Guitar Hero with your mind instead, and you'd be battling people with your mind, you know what I mean, instead, you know what I mean? And I think we should do all that stuff. There's a reason that we've come up with these things, and let's take advantage of technology and the stuff we have to do. And again, the easier way it is to use technology to get it out, let's do that, you know what I mean? Let's make it happen, you know what I mean? And the traditional way is key. Let's not lose the foundation of the traditional ways and the techniques, but if we can use some of the more modernized, you know, stuff that we have to spread it more, hey, I'm all for it. Let's get it out there. That's my thing. I would say just to sit. It seems silly just to sit, you know, just sit in silence, you know. I say that to people all the time, you know, like, they're like, how do I meditate? I was like, I would just try to sit and just be quiet for a little while and just analyze what's going on with yourself. See how your body feels. Sit down in a comfortable position, whether it's in a chair or on the floor, if you want to lay down on your back, and just be quiet for a second. Take some deep breaths and just see what's going on. You know what I mean? And I think that's when they realize, wow, I have a lot of thoughts going on, man. You know, a lot of times I say, do it for 3 minutes to people when they ask me, well, how do I get started? I was like, well, what I'll do is I'll send you a text in the morning and I'll remind you, don't forget to sit for 3 minutes. And then next day I'll do it again. Don't forget to sit for 3 minutes. And then I'll ask them at the end of the week, so how'd it go? You know what I mean? And so many times people will be like, man, it's like 30 seconds into it and I'm dying. Like, oh my God, when is this gonna be over? I can't take this. I wanna go play a game. I wanna go outside. I wanna go to the bar. I wanna do this. You know what I mean? They just have all these racing thoughts. And I think just starting your own practice. And I think the easiest way is to sit. I'm not asking people to get into a pretzel and then do all these crazy yoga poses or to, you know, master Tai Chi or anything like that. Just sit and be still and be quiet and just, you know, I think it'll grow. And as you start doing it more, then that internal search becomes more and more, and you're like, wow, I want to do this all day long, you know what I mean? So if I had advice to give to anyone, just sit and be quiet first, sit and be still, just be. We're human beings, not human doings. I think it should be together, for sure, you know. I mean, all the yoga and the hatha bending and stuff like that is preparation. That's like a first step towards it, you know. And the 8 limbs of yoga, that's one of the beginning limbs. So you start with hatha, then you start doing pranayama, and then you can get into the meditative stages and stuff like that. So you're building your body up to prepare it to be able to function in a way that you can start working with your mind. If you're not healthy, then your mind's not going to work well because you're going to be your body's going to be focused on fighting this disease or fighting this ache or ailment within yourself. You know, just like they say, before you go take a test, you should eat a nice meal so your body's refreshed and it's working good. So I think they're definitely connected. I also think that people can not do the internal and do the external and still get the same benefits, you know, 1,000 different paths, you know what I mean? There's all sorts of different ways. A person had a great analogy just downstairs too, where they're talking about it's like skiing or snowboarding. And when you're on the top of the mountain, you look down, there's no direct path to get to the bottom of the hill. You can go straight if you want to. You can go around and curve and do whatever, but there's no like, oh, you have to go this way to get to the bottom. So there's millions of different paths, and there'll be obstacles, other skiers, other things will pop in, and you might have to turn and swerve, but no matter, you're still going to that same point, and there's all sorts of different ways. So I think both of them have their benefits. I think that people can not do the bending and the external stuff and just go internal and you know, be blissful. And exactly on the opposite side, they can just do all the external stuff and still be blissful. So each person has their own path and their own choice, you know. Truth is one, man knows it by different names. That's one of the things that they always tell us. So whatever way works for you and makes you bliss and be happy, I say go for it. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I love coming to these things. It's just very inspiring to see people doing this work. I remember when we started 10 years ago, the first conference I went to, I was like, man, I thought we were the only guys doing this. Like, I thought we were saving the world by ourselves, you know what I mean? But to see people so excited about it and from all different places in the world and all different, you know, like jobs like doctors and professors. And I've been to things like this where it's just like, it feels good to see everyone so excited, and you can see that the movement's pushing, you know what I mean? So it really is spreading and growing. And then networking opportunities are always great. Meeting people, collaborating with them, building partnerships so that, you know, the reason we're here is from another conference. And now from this conference, I'm sure I'm gonna go somewhere else to another conference just because you meet people, all of us are like-minded, we're all on the same page, kind of, we're going in the same direction. So, I mean, wonderful, it's been wonderful. Every time I see Doug, I'm like, you're the man, Doug, you're the man. So, yeah, great. I mean, again, I would just say to anyone and everyone, you know, to try to get your own practice, you know, whatever it is, and just remember that we're all one, man, and that love is very powerful, and that if we can get it so that everyone would just love all the time and look at everyone and love, that the world would be just a better place. So, love is the most powerful force in the universe. That's what I end off on.